everyone, Mike here from the Geek, and I've been meaning to make this video for like over a week now, so it's about time I took the time to do it. I have a submission back from Tag Grading, and if you're watching this video, that means that you can now submit to Grade with Tag at our shop. We are a submission center for them. We are partnered with them. We have a certain amount of cards we should be sending them each month as per our agreement. And I want to talk a bit about why I am looking into using them more, why I like what they do, and a bit about their slabs. So I'm sure you're familiar. If you're familiar with grading, there's lots of controversy all over the place. There's been a lot of issues with different grading companies, CGC graded non-authentic, essentially beta Pokemon cards. PSA was recently caught changing grades on cards that they were buying back without even changing the certificate numbers, which is ridiculous and extremely greedy. Tag popped up more recently. They had a controversy early on with their slabs being really weak and brittle. That has been addressed, but one thing I like about them is that each card that is graded gets like a report. It's called a dig report. So there's transparency, and your card is not being hand graded by a person, which makes it a subjective matter. And in this case with Tag, it would be an objective matter because it's being graded by an AI type of algorithm and certain types of scanning and things that they share with you. And I appreciate that. I appreciate transparency, and I think as far as grading goes, we need more transparency. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of problems that can be hidden without the transparency. So I've been looking more and more into Tag for a while. They had finally reached back out and approached me about taking submissions through the shop. And we had went forward with that actually a few months ago, but I was waiting for my first test shipment to come back. And then the holidays hit and all that kind of stuff. So I sent over 50 cards. I'll just show a few here today because it will take forever to show them all. But I'll do like a flyby view of all the slabs, and I'll show some of my favorites, things like that. And one thing I'll add before I show any slabs is I do not think all cards need graded. I think there's a huge influx of people trying to grade just to have cards as an investment or things like that. I'm interested in having cards graded for collectors who want to hang on to them because they like the aesthetic and because they like the transparency that Tag offers. I don't care what company you use to grade. That is your choice. Those are your cards. If you want to grade them to resell or to get the max value or to get the buyout offer from PSA, that doesn't bother me. But from my standpoint of owning a shop, I'm not interested in supporting companies that have obvious blatant manipulation, that have done things that are very untrustworthy, that are causing major issues in the collectible community. I think Tag is offering something that is more transparent, more direct, and I really like how their slabs look. So they're great if you just want a slab that has a good aesthetic. And honestly, some of their slabs have sold for a lot of money, comparable to PSA 10s, sometimes more, depending on if they're foreign or not, or if they're pristine. And I'll show you a pristine because I actually have one, so I can talk about that a bit. But without further ado, here's some cool ones that I sent in that came back. I was very particular about what I sent because I was testing how much scrutiny the cards would be under, and I hadn't dealt with like their scanning algorithm or anything before. They are very strict on the centering. I will say that. Most of the 9s I got were because the centering wasn't within the range that they asked for, and I was kind of pushing it to see where it would go. So a lot of 10s back. Almost half of the cards I sent came back as 10s, which is really good. But like I said, I was really particular about what I sent, and there was even some 9s that came back that I thought for sure would be 10s. So I think that speaks to the algorithm. I think that speaks to the algorithm and the scrutiny it puts the cards under. Sorry about the random howling. My cat, the shop cat rather, was yelling at me because she wants attention. All right, so I sent 2 for my personal collection. This Ditto got massacred, but I collect Ditto cards. It got a 5.5, but it is not in great shape. I just wanted it in case so I can display it. I love that he has his fists up and he's ready to fist fight someone. And then I was very particular about which one I sent here. This is Ethan's Ho-Oh. I love Ho-Oh. I love this art of Ho-Oh, and I grew up in the gold and silver era, so I really wanted this. And then I need to work on getting some type of Lugia card soon. I wanted to send some cards that weren't Pokemon. These are from Universes. These are some cool Ninja Turtles cards. They all got 10s except for the serialized one. This is an alt art of the card I just showed. This is really cool. I didn't actually pull any of the other turtles, but this is one of the classic arts for Raphael, which is really cool. And then we have this serialized Splinter card, and it actually got a 9, which is unfortunate because it is serialized, but it's also quite a rare card. There's only 100 that exist, and so that's really cool to have that slab. Tag will slab anything that is standard card size, which is actually referred to usually as a US card size. Japanese card size would be similar to Yu-Gi-Oh! This stack is all staff cards, so these all got 9 or 10. I was really happy with these overall, except for one, because it's just a classic, and I was really hoping to get a 10. And the staff cards are really hard to get, and they can be really hard to find, even if you're trying to trade and find them. They're pretty obscure. Team Rocket's Tyranitar 10, really awesome. Rocket's Mimikyu, also a 10. This is the one that really broke my heart. Misty's Gyarados 9. So I was really hoping for a 10. Unfortunately, with the staff cards, you know, since they're hard to get, you can't be too picky about what you send. I mean, as far as the centering is what made the Misty's not a 10, I believe. And it's not like I'm going to easily be able to find that to send a bunch of versions and hope for a 10. Here are some kind of random cards I sent to check out. I have Full Art Mega Sableye and Tyranitar GX, and then Ancient Mew, of course. I sent 2. One got an 8, one got a 9. Those are rough because not everyone took care of them, and the centering can be a little tricky. This is the Neo File Charizard in Japanese. Well, I think that card only exists in Japanese. This is the Legendary Collection Geodude. This one I wasn't too happy with. It got a 7. I thought it would be higher than that, but it does have some damage in wear. The Legendary Collection cards can be tough to find in good shape. And then this is the Build and Battle Alakazam Pro 9. Here were some really cool ones I sent that got 10s that I was really happy with. Got the Golden Mew from Celebrations. Umbreon V, really awesome card. Really happy with that one. This one's super cool and a classic. Jesse and James. Got the Rainbow Dragonite V-Star. And then this one has been a heavy hitter lately. The Victini. I think this is such an awesome card. Out of the Japanese I sent, a lot of them got 10s. You know, they're way more strict on centering. So here I have the Artist Edition Eevee. I have Radiant Charmander. This is the full art of Charizard, which is really cool if you can see the swirls in that version. This is actually the Chinese one, so that is not Japanese. This is the Japanese Marshadow. Love this artwork, really, really cool. This is the one that has Pikachu kind of hidden in the front. A lot of people overlook. I love this card. It's actually one of my favorites. I may keep it. It's the Ludicolo in a 10. And then absolute banger, Misty Psyduck. And then just randomly, I have the Attack Pose Radiant Charizard in a 10. And then let's talk about the coolest card of all. So I am a big fan of Zacian, and I sent this Japanese one debating on keeping it. But then it actually, if you can see this, you can see the score up here, 991. So it got a 991 out of 1,000. The tag cards are graded on 1,000 scale, and you can see under the number here it says pristine, if I can get this to focus. So it says 10 pristine. This is actually the #1 ranked card in the world. So Tag ranks their cards based on their score here. This is the highest ranked Zacian that exists. And I want to say over 160 have been sent. 6 have been pristine. Mine is the highest pristine. Essentially, the only thing that can be better is the centering. On 2 of the centering measurements in the dig report, it was like a 4951 or something like that. It's very minute differences that can make it close to 1,000. But to get a 991 is pretty amazing. And I wasn't that, I didn't scrutinize the card that much. I knew it would get like a good grade, but that's really high and really cool. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that one. Overall, owning a shop, my goal is to offer services and support our clientele of collectors and players and the community that we've cultivated. So that was the reason I got in touch with Tag. Originally, I actually contacted them back when they were really bogged down and behind on grading. Right now, they offer services ranging from just a few days to like 30 to 40 day turnaround. For the service they're offering us with the bulk rates, it's like 30 business day turnaround, which I appreciate, along with the transparency and the look of the slab. I mean, the slabs look really clean. I think they're really good for players if they want to have cool cards, even cards that went out of rotation, just to get slabbed for their collection, or so they can remember cool decks that they had, things of that nature. It is cheap, so we will charge $20 to send the card for you. That's roughly what they would charge on their website. The turnaround's a little longer, I think, for that tier if you do it yourself, plus you'll need to cover other things. We won't upcharge you for any reason except for extra insurance and just covering shipping. And if you do like a large amount of cards with us, then it would be cheaper all around for those types of things. At the end of the day, I would love to support like more companies grading if they've proven they've done a good job and have a good track record. As far as the current companies that exist with what PSA has done, and then they recently bought out Beckett, I think it calls into question just the legitimacy of grading as a whole and the mass flooding of the market through submitting through GameStop and them getting caught, PSA caught changing grades, CGC mistakenly grading some cards that were highly rare and should have never been graded because they weren't real. These type of things cause problems. And collectibles, there's always people looking to take advantage on many different levels. That can include with grading or just trying to sell fakes and capitalize because they want to make money. As far as the companies that exist and that are left and that are popular, I would say I trust and I like CGC. They made mistakes, but at least they admitted to it, and they have a good history of grading. They've been around a long time, and they're known for grading lots of things for many years. I really did like Beckett, but now that PSA is purchasing them, whether or not they say they're changing things, that calls into question Beckett's standards and legitimacy. I will not at the shop recommend or use PSA since they've been caught changing grades and partnering with GameStop. I think it's pretty clear that they're just in this to milk it for whatever they can, and it has created massive issues. Here and there we'll trade for PSA slabs. Once in a while I might buy them if it's something I wanted, but we don't submit through them at all anymore. I had actually stopped submitting when the last shipment we sent with their bulk rates for the shop for us took 7 months to return. I mean, that is a extremely long time, and it's just not acceptable. I don't care how much influx they're getting. And for it not to even be to the standard that you would hope and to take that long, it's just not worth it. Ultimately, there's this weird sunk cost fallacy going on that people just keep using PSA because their collection's in PSA, and they argue that the PSA 10 sell for the most. But there's actually proof that that isn't always the case. And there's proof that a lot of these cards are getting flooded with 9s and 10s to the point that many 9s are actually worth less than the raw cards, which makes no sense. And then 10s, certain 10s, there's 20, 30, 40,000 copies of the card in the 10. And while that might work right now, while the market's hot, it is going to fail miserably when the market cools down and the demand isn't there. And that's the real issue. The idea of just backing a company, even though they're doing a poor job, because you have spent money with them is insane. You are paying them to do an incredibly important service in the realm of collectibles, and they're not doing it properly. I mean, people joke that PSA stands for like, please submit again. And I know people who submit cards 3, 4, 5 times. You're literally paying them multiple times for the same service, and you're getting upcharged for when it is a good grade, and they're offering to buy it back and potentially changing the grade to line their pockets more. I mean, when does it stop? This is insane. And we as a community shouldn't support this stuff. So as a shop, we're not supporting it. We're mostly transitioning to tag. And I probably will never use PSA again. I really don't care how much of a stronghold they have on a market, because I don't trust them, and I will, never will. And I've seen lots of collectors that feel that way now. So it's sad, but it's the reality. And for me, I am looking to support the people around me, and I want to help them make good decisions. I don't feel that in most cases grading with PSA is a good decision at this point. So I like tag. I like how they look. There are questions about how consistent the algorithm is and how strict it is and how it's adjusted or altered, but at least we get transparency with them. And if there is something to call into question, like, we have a printable visual report with things that I can send to them and like combat or argue or ask about or inquire about for myself or for people that I work with. So that means a lot already. And they were incredibly kind and helpful. Like, when the rep talked to us about setting up the bulk rate for the shop and how much we wanted to send per month. And I really do believe that grading as a whole needs to be more objective and more transparent. And if we don't support that and move towards that, then it's just going to outright fail, because we can't just trust some company that is just doing whatever they want and upcharging for it and asking you to resubmit, and like, that's not going to work, and it's not working for me. So whether or not people submit through the shop for tag, they're who I will use to grade stuff for the shop. And unless there's an issue that I see that's major with them, and like some other scandal, which I hope never exists, we will be using them for the continued growth and future of the shop.